Life is sweet. Let it sweep you off your feet.
Hi, it's Sally and Find Your Joy. And I have been, what do I want to say, stalking these two for a little while. We have a mutual friend who told me about these two amazing women, and I can't wait to hear more about them. They are Christine Dare and Melanie Wendt, and they have an amazing creation that they have come up with called
Power in aging.
Power in Aging.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
we like
Power
to
in
call it.
Aging. And I'm like, well, I just can't wait to hear a lots more about this. Christine and Melanie, welcome.
Thank you so
Hi,
much. Thanks for having
thank
us.
you for having us. Yeah.
And likewise, we have heard amazing things about you from that same
Hmm.
friend. So
Definitely.
This is why
very
it's I love women who love women. I love
yeah.
women who are excited about what other women do.
Mhm.
I love women who have either gotten to the place in their life or are committed to being in that place in their life where we become advocates and allies and not threats. I love that.
Women
To
raising each other.
inspire each other, lift each other
Yes,
up. That's right.
inspiring and encouraging, and I love, yeah, it's I'm all about that. Walking by a stranger and saying, I love that top, or posting
Exactly.
other people's
I
stuff.
did that last night because at the theater and there was a elderly lady in this long gown with flowers and I had to say
Bless
something.
her heart.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, you just
She made
looked.
she made the
Oh yeah.
effort and she
She
needs
looked.
to be acknowledged, you know?
Yes, yes, and it's like that. And so when I was looking at the your video, first of all, and I said this earlier to you, the video that explains a wee bit on the website about what you do and why you do it and how it came to be, the whole power and aging thing. And the video was so it drew me in. So anyone, first of all, go to Power and Aging website after all of this and start to peek around and see some of what they do. But your video is so engaging, and well, I did say I want to see the outtakes because I'm like, how many takes did it take to get that awesome video? Because you're so natural in what you do. I love that.
Do you know, Ali, do you know the funny thing is, so that was one of our first videos that we did. We were kind of starting out. We were a little bit more like perfectionist and we did a little editing and stuff on that. As we've gone along, a lot of times Mal and I are just like, let's just shoot it. If we goof up, you know what, we cover up and we we keep going and
Right. Be
yeah,
natural, trying to be natural with it
we try
because
not to edit as much, yeah.
Oh, it
But
didn't feel
we
edited.
do
Isn't
a
that
lot of
funny? Yeah.
outtake material. We are quite goofy, and we've known each other for 42 years. So it's one of those things where, like, since we were 10, oh, sorry, oh goodness, 43 now. So it's one of those things where you can just finish each other's sentences. And
Yeah.
we went to a choir school, as Mel had said before, and we like, yes, we like to sing. We just break into song and we have fun.
Oh, I love that. And there's something to be said. I mean, I love new friendships and relationships too, but there's something to be said
Mm,
about those people that have known us. Because sometimes if you don't have to tell the backstory to someone,
exactly.
there's a safety in that. I was playing cards with a bunch of couples one night. My husband and I we love euchre, and we were at this, and I looked around the room, and there was these people, most of us I'd known for decades, and I saw, the silver in their hair and the crow's feet, and uh, you know, it made me feel safe. I was like,
Mhm.
oh, I've known you
Yeah.
since we all said silly things together and did stuff.
And
Anyways,
you can
I
appreciate what got them those wrinkles and those great
yes, I
bits
was
because
there
you've
for
been
some of
there during
those.
that process, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
Familiarity.
makes a difference.
yeah. So Christine, I think now, was this your original brainchild? Like, how did this happen?
Yeah, this was my original baby. And I think I mentioned mentioned this in the one video. It was one of those things where, I mean, I was looking for inspiration to start some kind of group community, community and group. And I love working with lots of people. And I had recently become a life coach. And part of the training was facilitating workshops and working in groups. And I thought, yeah. And it was one of those days, and it sounds cliche, but it literally happened, where I passed the mirror and stopped and was like, "Ugh," like I was about to turn 50 at the time. And it was one of those. So first the physical stuff hits you, like you said, the wrinkles, the lines, the crow's nut, the hair, the everything, and it's just not the way you remember when you look in the mirror. It's not matching that image that you have in your head of what you think you're going to look like, and then you take a look and you're like, dang, what happened there? But then it went much deeper than that. It wasn't just the physical for me. It was looking to what I had expected for myself, expectations I'd set on myself decades ago, or other people maybe had set some expectations on me as well. And realizing I'm not in that same place anymore. Some of, the times when you're taking a fork in the road, I went a different way. And what I envisioned my life to be like at 50 was nothing like what I was living. And it wasn't a bad thing, because I don't believe that we make mistakes like that. And I believe in divine timing, and we're all, it all happens in alignment for a reason. But it was letting go of me holding on to the fact that I thought I was supposed to still have some of these things, or I should have accomplished this by a certain age.
Right.
And I felt like, what is this I'm feeling like? And I realized it's what Mel and I call in one of our units, unconventional grief. Because you're grieving, but it's not this traditional grief that people think of. And when you think of loss and grief of, another person, it can be about a relationship you're grieving. Maybe they didn't die though. Maybe they've moved on. Maybe it's a friendship that's changed, or, a relationship that's moved on. But it was really about, for me at the time, like career wise, I had gone through different stages of careers. And I had always this vision, and I just never got there. And but it changed, it morphed. And I had to be okay with letting go of this old vision that wasn't like serving me. I didn't even want that anymore, but I was holding on to almost like a failure. Like I failed, I didn't get it. And I thought, that's not true. How many women are, kind of moping around thinking, I didn't get what I thought I was going to, I'm not high up on the rung of success, or I didn't have children like I thought I was going to have children. I didn't, like, all of these things we had hoped for, and then our lives turn out differently. So it's about really looking at why it turned out differently, the choices we made, accepting the things that, that we own the choices we made, and seeing why we did that, and being able to let go of what's not serving us. It's not helping to hold on to things that are in the past, right?
Right.
Part of that, Chris, wasn't that the letting go of the things that didn't happen because you had told, your family was expecting it, and different people had expectations for your future.
Yeah.
So it was letting that go as well,
Yeah, and I mean, some of it's kind of fun. Like I was in the TV film industry, and I always said, "Oh, Mom, when I make my first big movie, I'm buying you a Mercedes." That's all she all wanted, right, growing up. And I'm like, never bought her that Mercedes, and like, so that was kind of the fun part of it. But really inside, I had set such a high expectation, and I was like going to get certain things, in not material things necessarily, but just I wanted certain senses of accomplishments, or being in certain places in my life. And I had some, but then it took a pivot, and then I had some more success, then I took a pivot. And I look back, and instead of this path that I thought I was taking, I did this, right? And to be honest, I'm all the better for it. I absolutely loved every journey I took, and I chose them, but I didn't get to the same goal point, and I thought, I have to be willing to say, that's okay. Like, I have all of these things, and I can let go of that. That's not helping me to hold on to it. And better yet, instead of looking at that goal that I didn't accomplish, what goal do I want now?
Yeah.
Like, I can set a new goal now. It doesn't matter, I'm 53. I have new visions, new goals. I don't, you don't have to be 20 to have dreams and desires and wants. Like, any age, we still have it, right? And sometimes it takes a little firing up, a little spark ignite that passion again. And some people like, oh, I don't have it anymore. I don't really know what my purpose is. I don't have those passions. We have them. We just gotta be willing to find them and dig for them. And that's where
Figure out that next pivot.
the self-discovery.
Yes.
You know, what are
Mhm.
what are we here for? What's our purpose? And I'm excited to move towards it, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I love that. It's like you're saying, you know, I remember when I was younger, we had to be a certain age before we could be something, right? And I grew up in that era, right? So I'm about 12 years older than you. So I grew up thinking I would get this certain age and then I could be fill in the
Yeah,
blank.
exactly.
Whatever that was, I could be that. And so, you know, life did what life does, and, you know, a series of things happened that maybe,
Mhm.
like you said, did these little pivots. But by the time I got to the age where people were going to take me seriously and I was going to be this, the rules had changed. And now it was the young people that it was like, it wasn't when you got to be 40 or 50 that people were going to pay attention. Now it was like 20 to 30. And I was like, whoa. Who changed the rules? I was not informed of this. So there's a whole bunch of things I think that society might believe at a certain
Yeah.
time and different cultures might believe. And like you said, it had to be about, what do I believe?
Yeah, there
I
is
love that.
and there's a lot of ageism, and you're right, and just what society puts out there. Mel and I talk quite a bit about, like you said, culturally. You know, in other cultures, the older you get, you're revered.
Exactly.
You know, you're the wise grandmother they go to for information. Here, it's
Mhm.
like, oh, as you get older in North America, especially, I find, you know, it's like you're downgraded. You know.
You better
Yes.
start trying to look younger, basically.
Exactly.
Yes, that's the thing
Anti,
too.
anti-aging, right?
Yeah.
Get an anti-aging cream. You don't want to look your age. You don't want to be old. You don't, you know. So we really make it a point to be pro-aging, because if you think about what aging is, it's a
Mhm.
gift. It's a gift, and not everybody wakes up every morning.
It's
You know,
not
That's right.
dying.
That's
not
right.
dying. The opposite
But the
of aging
alternative is not
death.
good.
Yeah, the
Yes.
alternative is not good. So,
True.
every day is a gift. It's a blessing. If you wake up, you got another shot at it. But it's what are you going to do with that, right?
That's right.
And there is kind of the two sides, and you have to deal with both, because we feel there are a lot of changes that we can make to be our best selves at any age. But
Mhm.
sometimes there are a few things that are the way they are. And so it's also dealing with the process of acceptance and learning to, you know what, this is, I can change this and this, but this one thing, like I'm never going to be 6 feet tall. Like I just have to learn that that's something I can accept, right? And how can I be okay with that if that's something I'd always aspired to be, you know? So there's the acceptance, and then, you know, it's that beautiful serenity prayer about God grant me the patience. Is it to
The
accept
serenity to accept the things I
the
cannot change, the courage to change
courage
the
to change
things
the
I
things
can,
I
and the
can.
wisdom to know the
Right.
difference.
There you go.
Right.
So when you
Yeah.
think,
Realism in some ways, I guess, right? Just
Right.
being
Just,
realistic about the goals.
yeah. And so, Melanie, how did you get in? So, so she's dragged you into many things before, I'm guessing.
one or
All
two.
good. All good.
All good. Yeah. So how did
So,
you?
yeah, obviously we've known each other for quite a while. And I had been a guest speaker actually on PIA at one point, because all through the year we have a monthly guest speaker who shares valuable information about so many different topics. It's pretty interesting and phenomenal for our community at large, right? So I had been one of those at one point, and then circumstance of the situation, I ended up joining in as a secondary coach, like as the health side of the Power and Aging group, and Christine does the
And
life coaching.
I'm just going to
And
toot Mel's horn for her, because she won't do it. She is an amazing health and wellness coach. Like, you know, anything I'm about to put in my mouth, Mel can give you a whole list of why I should or shouldn't put, you know, like she's
Okay. Yeah.
she's very in tune with health and wellness, and yes. So I
That's
just wanted to
awesome.
say Mel
Thank
was
you.
this perfect fit, that I was like, I was covering the life coaching side of it, emotional, mental, how is this affecting us? how is it affecting our body emotionally, mentally, but Mel had the whole health side of it. So it was a beautiful marriage.
Yeah, it was a good pairing.
Perfect.
Yeah, so that's how that ended up. And we thought, well, you know what, why don't we start a membership and do monthly modules so that women can really learn go deeper into each of these topics, and do self work and do work with their groups and have coaching with us as well. So there's tons of ways that they get to interact with each sort of topic.
Yeah.
That was done in a membership, if I didn't say that already. So we started a membership over a year ago now. So it's been fantastic, right? What a journey.
It's small, it's still growing, but we love our members and our community. And it's yeah, one of those things, like we had so many topics. Aging is it's a huge topic, right? Like it affects everybody differently at different times. What I see someone else going through, I may never go through, or I might have already gone through. So sometimes you become the wiser one in the group who's gone through it, and you can talk about it. And other times you haven't experienced it. For example, we have one of our older members. She, is in a loving, happy marriage, and she's now supporting her child who's going through a divorce. So divorce was never something that she experienced, but here she is already, she's actually in her 70s, and she's now helping someone else through it, that's near and dear to her. So, we can go through different things, either, as the actual person or secondary person that we need to be the supportive person. So we thought it was really important to just cover a bunch of topics. We look at it from a physical, how it affects us physically. Mel is wonderful at saying how, like stress, for example, affects the body. We talk about it emotionally, mentally, how it affects our mental health, and spiritually as well. Because I feel as we age, our spirituality becomes a lot more, part of who we are, and it's important to mention. Mel and I, if you let us, we get really woo-woo, as people will say. So we do have to reel it back a little, because I know not everyone's as woo-woo as we are, but we do try to have sort of all of those angles every month. And as Mel mentioned, we call it like a triad approach, a unique triad approach. So I've taken lots of different membership programs, as has Mel, coaching, different things. And we thought, let's take the best parts, our favorite parts, and put it together. So in Triad, we do the first part is the group coaching. It's where we come together, 2 coaches, and work with the group. The second part is the self-paced work. You have your modules, you have videos every month, challenges, coaching questions. You take it at your own, pace. You can go back to last month or 2 months ago, whenever it's relevant or you need it. And you're really doing that deep dive to discover you at this stage of your life, what you need, how it's affecting you. And the third part, we're really big on community. So it takes a village, it takes a community of like-hearted women. And we thought it's really important for them to have little support groups. So with Mel and I not attending, they join in a couple of times a month on their own. And we've given them a formula that they can, or format they can follow, and nice and easy. They can just join the Zoom and they run through it together to support each other. And we've thrown in some bonus, like power hours. Mel and I offer a couple hours of reach out to us, Zoom time, just to try to make it something for everybody, that it covers what everybody needs.
We also do a physical tip, like a month. We try to relate each one to the month at hand. And then Christine will do a tip as well for everyone to sort of practice through the month. Get them through that month.
I do a mindful moment. Mel does a mindful movement every month.
Oh,
and we do a power list too. So we give you like some, podcast suggestions, which you'll now be on those, book suggestions. We give a power song for that month. Mel gives a wonderful home-based recipe, because she's an amazing chef. So we kind of cover lots of different areas.
Wow. So there's ways that people are learning. They're learning about all these, mindfulness, and we're not going to age very well if what we're putting into our body is so much more than do I need to lose weight or not? And I think for women, that's one of the hardest things we you know, it's about the health of it. It's not so much about, are you a bad person because you ate chocolate? I mean, so I get that, right? That I love that. So then they have teams or communities that they're in, each of them. And then are there topics? Like when you were talking about that, so when they're, and you were saying there's a little bit of guidedness, what kinds of, how do you put the people together or do they put themselves together? I guess that's what I'm wondering too. How does that work?
That's interesting you asked that because it actually just changed. So
Oh,
we had our first year and it was, how is it going to work out? Is it working? Like, we learned there's a learning curve for us.
And we had particular entry points as well, which influenced the groups as well. So
okay.
we had to put it together in a particular way at that point.
Yeah, so we had May, September, and then January. So 3 entry points. And so we kind of grouped them as they joined in those points.
Yeah.
And then when we hit our 1 year anniversary in May this year, we decided to open it up because we had a couple people coming in, June wanting to join. They have to wait till September, and then some of the times weren't working out for people to meet up with their groups, and then they'd meet them in coaching and be like, oh, I didn't get to know that other member. So we've decided to do an open format. And the times are the same, but you can drop into one or more we call them groupettes, our little
Groupettes.
groupettes.
Yes.
And so, if you want, instead of just going to one, like every 2 weeks, you can go to all 3 that week and be
if you have the time and
and if you're away and, there's going to be other people filling that spot. So it will hopefully flow even a little better as we get more and more members because, some have completed their year now and are gone and we've got some new members. So we're always looking to grow the community. And I have seen it work very successfully on other formats with much larger numbers. So we're making it work with our smaller group right now. But we're hoping to keep growing. And
it's really a beautiful added bonus for everybody.
Yeah.
Because they get everybody's wisdom, right? So everybody might be able to offer them, not coaching per se, but offer them their own life experience or experience from somebody that's close to them that might be able to help the other person in that journey. So I think it's a wonderful addition to our membership. So.
Okay.
And you asked about the topic. So they try to stick to the theme of the month, whatever that theme is. They find out like the first of the month they open and there's in their portal, a whole new theme has been added with weekly challenges and videos. There's 6 videos and coaching questions, as I mentioned. So they try to stick on theme, but we even say, like, if that theme isn't something that's heavy on your heart this month and you're still dealing with something else, that's okay. That's your time in the group. And the format is to talk about, the biggest challenge you are facing. And then also to talk about what's your plan of action, right? We don't want you to just sit up and think about everything that's pulling you down. We want you to think about how you're going to get out of it, right? What's the next step, right? Coaching, we're always moving from this moment forward. So how are you going to get from A to B? So we want them to then have some kind of it doesn't have to be the perfect solution or the magical answer. It has to be something
just a step forward.
Willing to try, right?
Yeah.
And
feel like you can resolve it and just start moving in a new direction, right? That's really the biggest stump for people is when they get stuck in that rut, right? So these are ways that you can take that first step to pivot in a different direction.
Reframe the situation, look at it differently and think, oh, you know what? I didn't try that. I'm going to try this week. And then you can meet again in their group in a couple weeks and say, look, I tried that. This was great, but this didn't work. And okay, I'm going to try. So they're constantly thinking of how to make their lives better and improve the situation and challenge themselves maybe to step out of that comfort zone. Whereas when they're not being accountable, right, then you sit back and you just let life happen and you don't take charge. So this
wouldn't you say
accountability?
Yeah. Wouldn't you say, Chris, that it's kind of like the community groupettes are kind of like adding a value of friendship or close family, giving you perspectives and giving you ways to facilitate whatever you're going through in between our coaching sessions. So, and they get a good perspective of the individuals too, because they're sharing usually about their own circumstances. So they grow really close together too. So it's lovely.
It's like sisterhood, right? And I think community is so important. And I feel like certain people are drawn to things. Say you're an avid reader, you're going to join a book club, or you play pickleball, you join the local pickleball, and so you kind of get your little tribes through that. But there are a lot of women who, you don't maybe have time to have a group sport, or you just don't have an opportunity. So this is your chance to be a part of a community of women, and you're lifting each other up, and you're maybe going through some challenges, and you're going to navigate them and figure it out together, and you don't feel so alone, right?
I like, so two questions. Maybe it's one, I'm not sure. Let's see, shall we? So you said something about a person gets to the year date and it ends. And so I guess my questions that will come out of that are going to be, does it end at a year? And if it does end at a year, there's something else to grieve. So is there some kind of where they move on to, if it does end, do they move on to some kind of I'm going to call it a maintenance program. I don't know what, a community that is able to continue, because I can't imagine doing something for a year and then not being able to be part of that anymore. Look at, I'm getting really attached to all of this already.
Well, we hope you'll come. Do you want to take that, Mel, or?
Sure. So actually, we do have a member or two who started with us right at the beginning, and they've joined again. So we have a secondary, so the second year basically.
Renewal.
Right, a renewal. So you can go through this whole modules again. You can be part of the groupettes, you can be part of the coaching, do all of the things at a different discounted rate. So this member one of them was like super intense in our program. She just loved it. She's amazing. And she just was so ready. Like before we even decided we were going to do this, she was ready and wondering how could she continue with us, right?
Yes.
So we decided to make this an option so that you can go through and you can work on things that you didn't maybe fully get through or weren't relevant to you in the first year, because maybe you weren't going through some of those challenges in that first year. So you didn't dive into them quite as deeply, but now they're important, or there's a lot of information. So she felt like, she got a handle of a few things, but because we give volumes of information, she felt like she wanted to be able to go through it. And so did the other member, that they would be able to pick more things that they didn't get the first time around.
Right.
And I know the one member,
so.
And the other member, life got busy and she dropped off for a little while.
Yes.
Kind of, trickled in and out. And I realized, there's a lot I missed. I didn't really even have as much time. And that's the way we've designed it. So it's self-paced.
That's life too, right?
Life does get busy, and things happen, and we had one member who's had a parent pass away and had to step back and then came back, so it happens, and it gives them the opportunity to come back and stay with the material, and as Mel said, join all of our in-person or virtual groups, so they still are very much a part of our community.
Because really there's lots of value there. So just as coaching alone, you're getting so much. So it's really what they put into it each month as to what they get out of the entire thing. But there's so much value in it.
And I mean, eventually we have enough topics and material. We'd love to do a year 2, 3, but it is a lot of work. I mean, Mel and I poured our heart and souls in like every month. There's so much to add. So we've decided to step back, take a little break, and focus on a few other things, such as our in-person retreat. We're looking at doing a few short courses as well, so that our members can join those, or anybody can join those, maybe meet us that way, and then decide to join our annual membership program.
Wow.
Lots to work on.
I love this. So, I love that how you created this, how it became so organic. And I can't imagine the work that you've put in to create these different modules and things that people are going to be doing. So in the show notes, I'm going to make sure that everyone knows how to find you and get a hold of you. And it just seems like it's time. It's timely. It's time for women to celebrate aging. It's time for women to celebrate each other. It's time. It's just beautiful timing. I love it. So sadly, speaking of time, boy, that was smooth. We're at the end of our time for today, and is there any
Time flies, boy, it didn't feel like 15 minutes.
I know. I'm like, man, oh man. Is there anything from either one or both of you that we haven't covered that you would like to share with the listeners before we close off for today?
I maybe want to reiterate just what Mel had mentioned about our free guest speaker series. So at this point, we've had 33 guest speakers over the last 3 years. Excellent value, a huge range of topics from, feng shui to a sleep coach to, menopause to everything you can think of. And they're wonderful. They're free. They're monthly. We do take a break in the summer, so July and August is off. But if you check our website under events, you just have to join our mailing list, and then you'll be sent the Zoom link. So it's a great way to introduce yourself into our community, meet us, and come out for a free event. So we welcome everybody.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. And
we will have you as one of our guest speakers coming up.
Oh my gosh, I would be honored.
Love that.
I'd be honored. That would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'd love to see everybody. I mean, the bigger the community, the more, the more we can learn from each other. That's really a big part of it.
Yeah.
And it is all virtual, so it doesn't really matter where you live. You just have to check, your time zones and things like that. We do have members, a couple European members. We have, someone in Bermuda, US, all across Canada. So.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Oh, well, I can't wait. I'll be checking it out very soon. That would be wonderful.
Amazing.
Well, Melanie and Christine, thank you so much for coming and sharing a little bit of what you're doing in Power and Aging and what you're really doing, creating communities and inspiring and encouraging and uplifting women. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
So thank you both.
And you as well.
Oh,
yeah, absolutely. Likewise, what you're doing with your community.
Yeah, thank you.
We need to build these strong communities, right?
Yeah,
we gotta go back to community.
I'm the same. I love community so much. So thank you both for being here. Everyone, do go and check out Power and Aging and find out what Christine and Melanie are up to, because it is an incredibly inspiring, uplifting, and find out if you haven't figured out what you want to be when you grow up. Go find out.
I still don't think I know for sure.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be so much fun. So thanks for being here. And to our listeners, thanks so much for coming and hanging out with us today. It's been awesome. Take good care and do remember to find your joy.
Thanks so much for joining me today. If you found a piece of your joy in this episode, I would love to hear about what came up for you so that we can continue to grow the impact of this show. Thanks again. See you soon. And remember, find your joy.